G'day, mate. What's your name?
Hello, I'm Beck.
Beck. And what do you do, Beck?
I'm a comedian.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Crowdworkcast. My name's Andrew Barnett. Thank you very much for joining me. Great episode this week. Beck Melrose, absolute champion, super funny stand-up comedian, very, very talented writer. She's written for a bunch of TV shows and is absolutely brilliant. So you're going to enjoy this chat. This was really good. If you'd like to follow Beck, please do. She is at Beck Melrose on Instagram. She's got a new newsletter coming out that she's promised me there'll be a link to from her Instagram, and you can find out everything about her then. If you do get a chance to go see her live, please do. She's hilarious. Now, if you want to come see me live, this is important. It's getting closer. May 6th, I will be in Brisbane for the Brisbane Comedy Festival. It's one night only at the Underground Theatre in Brisbane. Tickets are available at Brisbane Comedy Festival website, or if you go to my Instagram, Andrew Barnett Comedy, you will find a link in my little link tree in the bio. So please, if you're in or around Brisbane or going to be in Brisbane early May, please do come along to that. I really do want to sell some tickets to that one. Likewise, Sydney, I will be doing the 20th and 21st of May at the Enmore Comedy Club as part of the Sydney Comedy Festival. Once again, those tickets available at Sydney Comedy Festival's website, or there will be a link in the bio of my Instagram. So please, I'd love to see as many people come to those shows as possible. I've been writing a lot and I'm really excited about this show, so please do come along. Now, if you are enjoying the podcast, please do make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review. Apparently that helps. So if you could do that, leave comments in the YouTube. And if there is someone you'd like to see me sit down and chat with, please do let me know. Reach out through any of those means and let me know who you'd like me to chat with and what you'd like me to ask them. Other than that, thank you very much. This is my chat with Beck Melrose. Comedian, of all things. Is that the only thing you do? Like, you're obviously a stand-up comedian. That's how you and I met around the traps.
Yes, that's how we met. I'm a stand-up comedian, but I also write for TV, and I think that's it.
You think that's it?
I think that's it. That's my comedy career. I write for TV and I do stand-up.
Nice. That's so. Like, you seem you're only young. Is this? Is this straight from uni or straight from high school into this career, or did we have jobs along the way?
Oh, we had jobs along the way, and we had long periods where we weren't getting jobs as well. Let me tell you that much. I studied, finished, and travelled a little bit, and then just struggled. I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I was just trying out lots of different things. I couldn't get a start in anything, so I had a full career, but I was in marketing before I started comedy.
Marketing?
For my sins.
Wow.
Yeah, how original of me.
Yeah, marketing. Marketing is the one thing. Like, I didn't realise how much of comedy would be marketing. Like, you've got to. I had this realisation the other day. Oh, it's not I want to work on maybe something for the stage for it, but at the moment it's just a thought. Is no one tells you when you're at like school growing up how much of life is literally logistics and admin.
Oh, and your dream job. You get your dream job, and there's still admin.
Yeah. Oh,
No
it's
one tells
most
you
of
this.
what it is. It's like, yeah, man, work for yourself. Okay, yeah, cool. Now I've got to do a Baz. Great. It's just, it's insane how, like, yeah, but they don't prepare you for that. Like, no one gives you the admin chat. It's like, shoot for the stars, kid.
Yeah, you really don't. You're not prepared at all for how boring all of the bullshit around actually being in comedy is too. Like, all of the festival applications and tax. I had to learn what a Baz was. I didn't know what a Baz was.
How good's a Baz? It's just, and then just because the beauty of being self-employed and having to do your Baz is looking at the bank account and going, got no idea how much of that I'm allowed to spend.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I'm terrible at organisation, and especially once I left my career, I think the only thing that was holding me together was the fact that I was responsible for the other people on my team. Now that I'm just responsible for myself, if anyone got a look at how disorganized my life was, oh boy.
See, that's crazy, because you seem to me to be a very together person. Like, whenever I see you out gigging, or even when we were organising this, you've always got multiple things on the go. You've got projects going. I would have thought you're someone who's very good at structuring everything and getting organised, because you do seem to, you churn out a lot of stand-up, but then the other work you do as well, you churn out a lot.
Yeah.
How do you manage that without being organised?
Oh, look, I don't think I do manage it, really, to be honest. I don't know. I grew up in a family where everyone worked hard, so the work ethic's there, but what's not there is the focus and the efficiency. So I'm just doing anything. I'll say yes to anything. I'll gig, both ends of the train station if I have to, but I'm not really thinking it through logistically until that day turns up and I go, how am I going to get to the Blue Mountains? I don't drive.
You don't drive at all?
I don't drive at all.
Where did you grow up that you can afford not to drive?
Oh, I grew up in the Sutherland Shire. It was a real burden. For some reason, I thought I was too busy to drive when I was 16, and man, I'm regretting it now. What was I doing? Like, how was I too busy? I could have dropped a tap dancing class to learn to drive. It would have changed my life.
Well, tap will get you all the way to Broadway. Driving will just get you to the airport.
If you're shit at tap, it's really not worth sinking your time into, I can tell you that.
So you grew up in the Sutherland Shire. So for people not in Sydney, that's the southern part of Sydney. Now, what people outside of Sydney don't always realise is Sydney's, it's a shit fight of a city. Like, it's basically a bunch of different boroughs. So the Sutherland Shire is its own little area, which to get around within it, I think the buses are reasonably good. The trains aren't the worst. But depending where you are, that's not easy at all.
No, it wasn't easy at all. I've really given myself quite a few extra hoops to jump through in life by not driving.
So no desire to learn now?
I'm trying to learn now.
So you got your L's?
I've got my L's. And
how many hours have you done?
Oh, ready for it?
Yeah.
6.
6? I was going
to offer
to give you a lesson in the car park after the thing, but if you've only done 6 hours, no.
Once I graduate from the IKEA car park at Tempe, I'll take you up on that. But for the moment, we're still driving around the IKEA car park.
Tell me you're doing that late at night or in down times. Because
absolutely.
I've been in that IKEA car park, and it can be a hostile environment of a weekend.
No, my anxiety levels, there's no way we're going until it's shut. There can't be any other cars there. The best hours of driving I ever did were in the country. My grandparents used to go and spend 6 months of the year up in Corumba in the Gulf of Carpentaria.
Oh, nice.
And once my grandfather was like, jump in the car, we're going to go to Normanton. I think it was about maybe an hour's drive or something. Country roads. I hit a brown snake. I had to stop for a flock of sheep. I had to stop for cows. I had to slow down for kangaroos. Did not pass a single other car. And I thought, if I could just do this in Sydney, I would be fine.
If you're stopping for sheep in Sydney, something's gone completely wrong.
Yeah, you've taken a wrong turn.
It's funny, you can see that you are a writer, because you said a flock of sheep. Not a bunch of sheep.
Not a
heap of sheep. Not like a flock of sheep.
Oh yes, ooh la la, I'm very fancy.
That is. That's well spoken. So who's teaching you now to drive?
My partner. And I would never have expected this. He is so patient, because usually in every other aspect of our life, he is not the most patient man I've met, but he is a coach at work. And so I'm getting to see him in work mode, and I'm like, oh, this is where all your patience is going. You're sinking it into the 8 hours that I'm not seeing you. Now I'm getting to benefit off his work. It's great.
What does he coach?
Oh, he's a safety coach. So, he works in the rail.
Modern jobs
I know,
are
right?
insane. The titles you can get.
Yeah, I had a friend whose boss called himself the rainmaker or something. I thought, this corporate's gone too far. I'm so glad I'm out of it. Every now and then I think, do I miss it? And then you hear things like that. You go, I don't miss it.
Safety coach. So what does that involve?
I think if people have problems, they call him and he kind of tells them what to do. I don't know. It's a bit of a Chandler Bing thing to me. Like, he tells me stories from his work. I just piece them together. I don't really have a clear idea of what he does.
So for who does he safety coach?
Like transport and the rail.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's obviously some safety issues. There's the phone rings here at
Oh, wow. I wonder who it could be.
It could be, mate, that could be anyone.
That could be the call that changes our destiny.
Yeah.
It could be Domino's. It could be anything.
I don't know. We might just ignore that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's picking up on the mic, to be honest.
This is what I did my whole corporate career, was just ignore the phone when it rang, and it's worked out well for me.
It is that it is that funny instinct though. Once you're working for yourself, like now, like the amount of people that don't answer a call, they don't know what it is. I'm like, nah. The amount of gigs I've got by some lunatic, somehow finding out my number and having a gig idea, and I'm like, yeah, right, I'll give it a crack.
Yeah, it's either one of those insurance scams or someone from a regional town saying, why don't you come out and do a gig? I've got to answer. I sometimes just go off the vibe. Does this number look like a gig or does it look like a scam? I get that wrong a lot.
Yeah, but also, like, when you work for yourself and you've got a bit of time during the day, I don't mind spending a bit of time talking to a scammer. I had one ring yesterday who's like, he goes, I'm ringing because we've had some we've noticed some monitoring. We've had some issues on your, I'm calling from Telstra. We've had some issues with your internet connection. We've had some, we've noticed some complaints. And I said, that is weird because I don't have Telstra internet.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, no. He goes, Telstra is the provider for all the internet. So all the internet service providers come from Telstra. And I said, no, that's not true. Like, it's just not. Like, NBN, they all come off the NBN. But he said Telstra. I'm like, no, that's just not true, mate. And he goes, yes, it is. I said, no. And he went, and just beep, beep, beep.
Oh, incredible.
Hung up. I was like, thought we could have debated.
Yeah,
mate, come on.
Start of a budding friendship here.
Have a second part of the story ready. Or just do a Google search and find out that it's NBN.
And that would you know what, I've often thought that if, you know, in an alternate reality where you think, what could I do with my skills if I was evil? I think for me, like, punching up those scamming scripts and like fixing up the emails, I could do such a great job of doing that for scammers, I think.
Well, please don't.
So well.
There's old people out there shuddering in fear. She knows it's a flock of sheep. We'll never be able to pick their email. That's I don't mind. Like, my other thing is, well, what if it's someone you don't want to talk to? I was like, my phone's got a hang up button. It's fine. Like, I'm not obliged to keep talking to whoever rang just because they rang. You can hang up.
I can't get out of conversations. I had someone door knock me a couple of weeks ago. An hour and 20 minutes. I spoke to this person. We were talking about, he was pitching all these different ideas for screenplays he had, and at the end of it, I'd forgotten
what
what
door
charity.
knocking you for?
It was a charity, and of course I signed up after an hour and 20 minutes. And at the end of it, I shut the door and I thought, I've got quite a while before I start another contract. I can't be donating to another charity. And what the hell have I just sunk an hour and 20 minutes of my life into? I can't say no. I can't hang up.
Yeah, I used to be a sucker for the ones outside the supermarket, the old school.
Oh,
You want to have a talk? Here's a photo of a kid. At one stage, I had 4 sponsor children, and no money. So
yeah, exactly.
like, sorry.
It'd be nice if they could chip in a couple of bucks to help you out between gigs, right?
Yeah, well, I was like, at one stage, I want to start a real family, not just a sponsor family. Like, don't get me wrong, love the sponsor kids, good on them, but
Yeah, I didn't expect we were going to be taking down sponsor kids today, but
no.
Yeah, they've had it too good for too long.
No, well, I lived mostly on my own, so I'm a sucker for company. So I can say I will be that old bloke that just is on for a chat wherever. Like, that the old person.
I love those people.
Yeah,
I love those people.
That'll be me.
That's
just be
aspirational.
Like, someone will sit at the bus stop. I'm not even catching a bus. I'm just going to chat them up.
Yep.
Forrest Gump style. Here's my life story. It'll be, I don't think my wife will even be gone. She'll probably just kick me out of the house to go talk to someone at the bus stop.
Go give your wise advice to a total stranger.
Yeah. Hope that a feather floats through like in Forrest Gump.
Perfect.
Oh, man. So you went high school in the Sutherland Shire, then was it uni, or what did we do?
Yeah, I went to uni and I studied media and communications.
Oh.
Perfect timing for me. It was just as 800 jobs were cut from, I think it was News Limited at the time, or Fairfax, sorry, cut 800 jobs just as I was trying to get into journalism. So stellar timing from me. We also had a course while I was at uni about the benefits of whether you would do a campaign online or not, so it's totally relevant, as you can imagine, to today. So yeah, it was useless, but I enjoyed it.
So what years are we? I'm trying to avoid asking how old you are.
Yeah. I finished uni in 2009. I'm 36 this year.
Wow, you look so much younger
Thank you.
than
That's
36.
exactly what I was going for. I was like, I'll drop that.
That's
That's the compliment I get.
That's excellent. Yeah, wow. I would not have picked you at 36. I would have picked you probably maybe 28, 29.
Okay. This is where I wish podcasts were a visual medium.
Hey, we're on
we're
YouTube.
on. We're grinning into ear here.
Yeah, and there's upwards of 7 to 8 people that watch this on YouTube.
Wow.
So,
well, what do you all think? Why don't you text in? Let us know how old you think I am.
Guess Beck's age in the comments, and then guess her skincare regime.
Yeah.
And then argue about it, and someone call someone a Nazi if.
Awesome, yeah.
If on our YouTube,
great. Within 4 comments would be
Yep.
great. I don't want to scroll down too far.
I think the algorithm rewards conflict. So
yeah, great. Well, I'm definitely seeing the results of that. That's for sure.
So 36. So you 2009. Yeah, because I remember I started a similar degree at Newcastle, and I remember being in must have been media culture and society, like first year course, and our lecturer drank water out of a wine glass, like in morning classes too, like his drinking glass that he bring in to drink.
Just to be quirky?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I remember going to doing that. I did that, and I remember a bit of the film studies. I did film studies, which was great because we just watch a movie once a week. Biggest laugh I ever got in those courses, and it was one of those real funny, and I wasn't even meaning for everyone to hear it. So we just watched Psycho, and you know in the lecture theatres they've got the little desks that swing
the little
down.
pull-out desk thing.
Yeah, so on its hinge, and mine was squeaky, so I just made the thing literally just doing it for the bloke next to me, my mate, who I thought would have thought it was funny, and him and I laughed, and then turn around, and then it's obviously louder than I thought, so everyone's looking around, and the lecturer laughed and started a round of applause.
Wow.
I was like, here we go, I'm getting applause breaks. Maybe
my Hexstead is worth it at this point.
Yeah.
This is what we're really here for.
just running off the back of one of the greatest horror films of all time. But yeah, I remember doing that. I remember similar thing, looking around that media, society and culture course, looking around in a packed theatre that would have been, I think it held about 300, and I knew there was another, like a second class, so they divided the whole course up into 2, so you had either got assigned the morning or the afternoon lecture. And I went, so there's almost 300 of us here, there's almost 300 in the afternoon. I don't think there's 600 jobs at the end of this.
I don't think there might be 1 or 2 if you're lucky.
Yeah, that's when I started to look around and go, maybe uni's not for me.
Yeah.
So but yeah, so you went through, did the media communications. What did you start doing coming out of uni?
I couldn't get a job. I was one of the first me and my mum actually went to uni together because my mum wanted to study.
Oh, man,
and then
if this isn't your sitcom.
Right? So great. It was really fun being able to talk about all the different classes we're doing and shit together. But
did you do classes with her?
We did the same courses. I think we might have been in one class together. But she was, of course, in an accelerated program. She's incredibly intelligent, my mum.
But she's also the mature age student.
Yes.
Which, at that, I have a feeling that everyone should be forced to be a mature age student. Like, when you leave high school, you're not ready to go to uni at the price uni costs.
No.
You need to go do something else and come back once you've got a little bit of an idea about, this is costing you X amount of dollars. I think I would have taken it much more seriously.
I just think I wouldn't have gone to uni if I'd done that. Go out into the world, evaluate the merit of it.
What would you have done, though, if you could have? What if you had your druthers, as they say?
The druthers?
Yeah.
I've never heard this term in my life.
Oh, if I had my druthers, I'd rather. So it's
I'd rather. No, I've never heard that.
So no, if I had my druthers, I'd do this.
I love this. Every day's a school day. Okay, that's going into the box. I'll pull that out with Flock of Sheep next time.
Yeah, look forward to seeing that on Gruen at some stage.
Yeah, great. That'll come into the script for sure. Look, ideal. I would have just travel blogged. I think at that age, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to get a blog. I want to be paid to go around the world and blog about my adventures. Absolutely not a job that existed then, not a job that exists now, but that was the dream.
No, now it's you've got to be either just a chick in a bikini or a dude with a 6-pack, and then amazes me about those, because I follow a few of those travel accounts, and it's all like, one of the travel accounts I follow on Insta it's just more of a compilation. So it'll just put different travel, like Insta models or whatever, on their feed, and it's more about looking at the place, but there's always this super buff person, and I always look at them and think, to be in that level of shape, you wouldn't be able to enjoy the holidays you're on.
No.
Because most, like, they're looking at this, they're staying in this beautiful place in the Swiss Alps where they're, basically the bed overlooks a mountain, and they bring you all your hot cocoa and your pastries in your bed. I'm like, yeah, but you don't get to keep that physique doing that.
No. Also, it's quite cold being in a bikini in the Swiss Alps, I imagine. It's not a good job.
Well, who knows?
Depends how long you're out there.
Well, they get the hot tubs and stuff, but it's all that sort of stuff where you look and go, oh no, the stuff that you'd want to travel for, those sort of luxury holidays, these people can't possibly be enjoying it, because
no. And I wasn't doing that kind of travel. I was like sleeping on the floors of airports because I couldn't afford a night of accommodation.
So you did do some travel?
Yeah, I traveled a bit. I was I think I had a $5,000 budget, and I was away for just under 5 months.
That's good.
It was good.
Where'd you go?
I did Europe and Southeast Asia. And at the time, there was this Lonely Planet guide. What was it called? Southeast Asia on a Shoestring. Everyone had it.
Yep.
So everyone was going to the same places. It was called the Banana Pancake Trail, was kind of the unofficial route that everyone was doing through Southeast Asia. So we did that. We partied everywhere. It was certainly not the kind of thing that if I had some kind of aspirational travel blog that anyone was going to read and go, wow, I can't wait to do that.
Yeah, but I wonder though, like, knowing your sensibility. Now, did you, because you've got a very good comic sensibility, is that something you would have had then? Do you think it would have been, would your travel blog have been, would you have lent towards making it a bit comedic, like piss takey or whatever, or would you have tried to be earnest?
I would have tried to be earnest. That's the worst part about it.
That's what I often think. Like when I see people that start comedy really young, and I'm always like, oh man, I should have started young. And then I would have been terrible.
I think I would have been too. I don't think I would have lasted.
No, I definitely wouldn't have lasted. I couldn't have handled sucking.
Yeah, I don't think. It's still hard to suck, but. Okay, I wish I could take that sentence back, but I can't. So here we are. Let's move on.
But hey, you're getting some driving lessons out of it.
Everyone listening will agree. Sometimes it is hard. You've had a long day and it's just the last thing you feel like doing. But yeah, it's hard, and I don't think I would have done it in my 20s. You need to have a little bit of a thick skin, and I think the most valuable thing for me is the perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's, you walk off stage and you go, oh my God, this big emotion really is not fun. But you can step back and go, it is not that big of a deal.
I also think that when you first start, like any day you had a gig, you were thinking, that was always in your mind that whole day. And so this energy all built up to that set. And if that set sucked, then it hurt even more.
Yeah.
Whereas I think now, if you haven't, I don't know about you, but it just doesn't occupy my brain as much. Like, I remember I got great advice from Gary Eck real early on. He said it's mostly just about managing your energy. If you spend the whole day in nervous anticipation, even if that nervousness is you trying to prepare, then by the time you get to the gig, you'll be exhausted. You won't have the energy to expend. And
that's great advice.
It's the best advice. Like, yeah, it was really good and super valuable advice I got then. But now, like, it's only if I'm doing like brand new stuff that I've sort of written that I'll spend much of the day really trying to think about it. But even then, I've discovered I find I'm better now if I take a chunk of the day where I'm writing, and then I stop and I do something else completely. Just don't think about it. Do something leisure. Like sometimes I just have a nap. I just go, I'm going to go have a nap, or I'll do a couple of household chores and listen to some music or something to get my mind completely clear. And then I'm all right to click back into gig mode later on.
By the time you gig. What's your writing process like?
Terrible.
Terrible, yeah.
Painful, mostly. No, it's... you talk about that attention, like being able to put your
thoughts into one bucket. My process is generally, so I keep notes in my phone about any little premise or something I come up with, and occasionally there'll be a line attached to one of them, and I'll just note that down as well. But often I'll come back to that note and just go, that's not a great tag for that anyway. But then what I try and do is like, okay, come to writing, what's playing around in my mind. And so I just mostly wander around talking to myself and then trying to take some notes, either in my phone or... Because anytime I sit and try and write, just type it out, like, and write straight from here to the computer or here to a notepad or whatever, it comes out like I'm... Like, when I go to read it back, it's not how I'd talk on stage. It's how I'd
you're writing to be read instead of listened to. Yeah.
So yeah, I just try and write, and then just everything's sort of bullet points. Like it'd be hard. I think I used to so I still always carry like set lists around with me or whatever. But if the odd punter picked them up, they'd look like hieroglyphics because it's just all 1 or 2 word prompts. And when it's new, it'll be like something like when I was first writing about COVID stuff, COVID, and then Gladys. It'll just be one word, all the 1 word prompts to remind me how to get. And sometimes the 1 word prompts aren't even like, I'll try and go from if I'm getting from one topic to another, it'll be like, okay, if I mention this, that'll seem so it'll be like COVID Gladys, homeschooling, teachers, bad dad. And then it'll be
You'd be locked up if someone found that.
I know, they'd be just like, COVID Gladys, teacher's bad dad. This guy's crazy. But it'll be like, so that flow, and then early on, so there might be little interstitial bullet points. Like, so to get from teachers to bad dad, I'd go with, I thought I'd be better at, talk about the homeschooling into our teachers, talk to the teachers, and then I thought I'd be better at it because, I thought I'd be better at it because I thought I was a good dad. Turns out I'm a bad dad. But so that's how, try and get it in some sort of flow like that.
Yeah.
But it's always just bullet points. Like I dug out today a notebook I had from when I did my first Carnival cruise ship.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, on Carnival you've got to do, so at least then, and I'm pretty sure it's still the same, they want you to have 5 different half hours.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And 2 of them have to be squeaky clean, family friendly. And by family friendly, I mean there are 4-year-olds in the front row.
Yeah, okay. So it's not just we're not swearing; it's a lot of topics that are off limits.
But it's all right to tell jokes over their head, but you've also got to keep them, because they will just get up and walk, and they will start talking to each other. So you need to still they're part of the audience, so you need to. So my trick was I would say poo and wee enough that they giggle while I just told jokes they didn't understand to their parents and grandparents, because that's the other thing. If you just play to the kids, the parents and grandparents and the other punters get bored. So that was tricky. But so I found my notebook, and where I'd basically gone through and just written out page after page of every bit I could, and I'd mark next to it clean, R18, and then tried to divide them up into 5 different half-hour blocks, and it's just pages and pages of notes. And I was even looking back then, and today I opened it up, and I was like, I haven't done that joke in years. I don't think I could still do that joke. That's probably not acceptable anymore. That's
the poo-wee stuff is, that's evergreen, isn't it? Mate, you can pull it out at any point.
My favourite thing I used to say to the kids was I'd ask them, I said, how many swear words do you know? And then they'd be like, whatever. And I'd say, do you know the M word? They'd be like, what's the M word? I said, oh man, the M word is the worst of all of them. I said, it's so bad, I guarantee you ask your parents what the M word is, they'll tell you there is no M word. That's how bad it is. Adults pretend it doesn't exist. I said, you ask every adult you can on this ship what the M word is, I guarantee none of them will tell you. Okay. And then so the parents are all giggling like this is going to be, and so then the kids think, oh man, the M word.
What is the M word?
They know what the M word.
I can think of one.
Of course you can. You're a writer. Go.
Well, motherfucker.
Yeah. That's MFer.
Yeah, this is true.
And for a kid, you can't say mother as a swear word.
Yeah, true.
That's mum. And motherfucker's dad often. So, but yeah. So what's your writing process like though? Because you're a really good joke writer.
Oh, thank you.
You write. No, but who was I talking to about this? Like we were talking about your jokes are all. It's just they're solid jokes, but they don't feel like they're. It's not like, oh, this person's just telling jokes. It's woven into a bit of a story or whatever. But there's no fat.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So what does that process look like when you're writing new stuff?
It sounds similar to you. I just have stuff in my phone. I'll jump in, see what's in there. Usually it's nonsense. Usually I can't understand what I was thinking when I wrote the notes, so a lot of it's just lost. Then I'll kind of just write it up. For me, I think what tends to happen is that, and this is something that I'm trying to consciously work on, is that it doesn't sound written on stage.
Yep.
So I think what will naturally happen for me is that I'll just start to drop out words that don't need to be there and keep the words that sound good but lose a lot of the setup. So yeah, it's just a matter of, I think, saying it out loud a few times before it sounds a bit more conversational.
Do you have people you run stuff past?
I didn't for so long. When I started, I had no idea what the comedy scene was like, and I'd started in Raw, so it was this big opportunity, and I didn't gig as much. I had no friends that were comedians, so for the longest time I was doing it on my own, and I was throwing things out if it didn't work. So I would get up on stage, share a new idea I'd thought of, and if it didn't get the response I thought it should, I would just drop it. And it was actually Marcel one day, I was at a new material night, and I was like, well, that didn't work, and I was crossing it out, and he goes, mate, you know you can work on it. He goes, you know, do it a couple more times, like 3 times, see if there's something in it. And I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should do that. Just
do it slightly differently next time. Work it out. That is, I think, one of the things you think when I remember when I started, like, you have this idea that something's either funny or it's not.
Yes.
It's not that something has the bit, like, so often it starts as something little, and even a bit that I've had so many bits that start as just one little thought gag or whatever, and then just over time you build things onto them, and then all of a sudden you've got a chunk on a topic. Like most of my COVID stuff that I was doing last year came out of my festival, the top of my festival show. I was doing just a little bit of topical stuff which I had some bits I'd written that I wanted to get in, but then I just started adding little gags from the news and stuff that came before that, and then just little extra bits, and all of a sudden I had like a 15-minute chunk.
And it was you had the best COVID. I know I've told you this before, but you had the best COVID material. I loved your COVID material.
Yeah, I know. COVID's gone now, and I can't use the material. It sucks.
This is the sad thing, and I really wish we could bring it back just so we could.
I'm the real victim in all of this, you know. No, but that's
sad.
But it's funny because sometimes too, like, you get that stuff that's working, and then now you go back, and I'm like, it feels like, well, I'm never going to be able to do that again.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, of course you can. You've
in
just
100 years, just wait for the next pandemic. Recycle it.
Oh, no, I know about that topic. I'm never going to be able to write something like that again.
Oh, right.
And, like, I don't know about you. Every time I have to start, you know, working on new material, writing a new show or whatever, it always is that process at the start where, like, I can't. I'm never going to write jokes good enough to replace that. But you always do. And then I look back now at jokes I thought I wasn't going to be able to beat from 5 years ago and go, geez, I'm glad I'm not still doing that garbage.
Yeah.
So I think that's when you do get yourself in trouble, is when you get scared, when you get enough material that you sort of can coast a bit, and you get scared to just keep writing and taking that risk of this mightn't work.
I think that's part, like, the self-doubt surely is part of the process. It's the very least part of mine.
Oh, it's part of mine.
I get to that every single time.
I don't know anyone who that I've spoken to that says it's not at least part of it. But I think probably you become more familiar with the feeling and knowing that, okay, this will pass. I just need to kick my own ass and get through this phase of it. There's no what's frustrating is it doesn't seem to get any, or at least for me, it doesn't seem to get any easier to attack that process. Like, but I mean, sometimes it's a bit shorter. Like, you go, okay, you don't make the same mistakes you would have by overriding shit, or, you know, following it down a road that it doesn't need to go down. Like, you do learn stuff, but that process of getting up there going, oh shit, this might be garbage. I don't know.
It's not fun.
It's not any less painful, but it also means because you're risking that pain, it's more rewarding when it does work.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's hard too, because everyone says the ultimate feedback is live audience feedback, and that's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
But for me, when I started, when you've got no idea and it's a brand new skill, and I'm still so new to this, and there's so many factors, like you're working with a live audience, that's different every night. There are environmental factors, the lights, the sound, the temperature, the different setup on stage, who's hosting, who else is on. There's so many factors that can influence it before you even get to your writing and your performance, that there's so much to learn. It's really hard to take that feedback on board and know what to change. So that for me is something that's still, people that can give good feedback are just so valuable in every aspect of life, but in comedy it's been the best.
How long have you been going now?
I started in 2018.
Bloody hell.
So I mean, I had a very quiet year, as we all did, but I've been working pretty solidly since 2018.
That's amazing how, because I probably, that would jive with how long I've sort of been aware of you around the scenes and I've bumped into you, but you sort of have that air and competence of someone who, like, you know, sometimes there's someone who starts in another city, does 5 years and then moves and turns up on your scene, and all of a sudden the new person's really good.
Yes.
You've got that. You got sort of that. It wouldn't have surprised me if you go, yeah, well, I've been here since 2018, but I did do 5 years in Melbourne before I came here. Like, it's...
I've got Melbourne energy. I got told I had Sydney Uni energy, and I was so chuffed. I didn't go to Sydney Uni. It's like, I'll take that. What does
Sydney Uni? Was that mean just because you work at the ABC?
Oh, yeah, probably. That's actually, it was in the ABC building where someone accused me of having gone to Sydney University, so that's probably why.
But that was probably someone who went to Sydney University.
Yeah.
If it's in the ABC building. You just cross the road there.
True.
But it'll be interesting, actually, when they move out to Parramatta to see how that... the Sydney Uni to ABC pipeline, see how it goes.
I've already had a lot of people say I'm not commuting, so I don't...
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Are you going to commute?
I don't think they're moving. And I work for a lot of production companies that work with the ABC. I don't work with the ABC directly a lot. ABC Radio I do a bit, and that I think is moving out to Parramatta, so I'd commute for that, and I enjoy it.
But that's
Parramatta's
the thing,
not that far.
Man, when you think about where you go to gig, like, whatever. Like that, I think that's something too that that stand-up sort of breeds into you.
Yes.
It's like, if you want this gig,
you'll travel for it.
Yeah, you're pretty resilient and you're pretty able to go, okay, I'll make this work in some ways. Because thinking about some of the gigs I've done, it was funny. You and I did a gig last Wednesday night.
Yes.
Out at the Oaks. It's a little suburb, you wouldn't even call it a suburb. It's in Wallandilly Shire. It's just sort of an hour and a half outside of Sydney, probably. And beautiful little place. And
it's really cool.
Great gig. But I remember I was talking about, I can't even remember what gig I was talking about, because we were all just talking shit in the little green room they had for us. And Al Del Benny, who in my mind has been everywhere, done everything, because he has, just goes, man, good on you for even doing that gig. I'm not sure I would have accepted it. And I was like, oh, wow.
That is a compliment.
When Al Del Benny is telling you, man, that's good on you for doing that gig, I'm like, maybe I should say no to more things. But that was actually one of the things I was thinking about the other day, is like, obviously I want to be more successful in stand-up. Like, I want to get... Just because you want to reach a bigger audience, and you do, like, it would be nice to get a bit more financial security out of it. But I was thinking about that the other day, is the guys that have sort of, that I started around, that have gone to that next level, they probably don't have those same stories about doing the weird gigs, because they didn't, because they, once you can sell a theatre, then you're not
going out to Wallandilly Shire every night, but
no.
they're the fun gigs for me. Like, I enjoy it. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy going to places I wouldn't otherwise go to. Like, it's quite cool to go and meet the people who are putting on gigs, and I don't know, it's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too, is you got to enjoy the process.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy, if you can't, like, if you want to make a living out of comedy, you kind of have to resign yourself to the fact that you got to enjoy just being in places that you wouldn't normally be and doing stuff you wouldn't normally do, and sometimes being well out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the very least, you got a story at the end of it.
Yeah, true.
So,
I mean, selling out the theaters sounds nice, but
hey, don't get me wrong, it's still on the bucket list. But at the moment, like that was the thing. I think you can, beat yourself up worrying about, whether you'll get to that point. But then also, I think, enjoying what you are able to do at the point you're at, I think that's also pretty important. It doesn't take away from the ambition of wanting to do the other thing, but you gotta take whatever you can from every situation you're in, I think.
Oh, I think I couldn't agree more. And also, it's your life that you're wasting if you're miserable on the way, and you don't know, maybe you get that thing that you aspire, or maybe you don't, but if you can enjoy the gigs that you're doing along the way, I don't know how you would do this job if you're not getting any satisfaction out of actually doing the gigs.
Yeah, or and not getting anything out of the day.
No.
Leading up, like if you don't enjoy being in a weird place and having to kill time because you've got to do half an hour to an hour that night on stage, then you need to, like, I don't know how you'd keep it together.
You got to enjoy pottering around a town, and it's one of my skills, I've got to say, is pottering. Pottering,
you good?
Meeting locals, I love it.
So you'd be good on the ships then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A lot of pottering?
Oh, man. I remember doing one of them. I haven't done the ships in years now, but I remember doing one where the first conversation I had that day that wasn't just with someone saying, "Oh, can I just grab a glass of water, please?" was when I walked on stage to 700 people in a theatre.
Oh, wow.
That was the first time I'd really talked to anyone that day, and I was like, that was for me, because I'm naturally reasonably shy, so I will, as much as I love company, I won't seek it
out. Yeah.
So I will and so sometimes on the ships, like, I had to learn to, that particular one, we had, like, I performed the night before we went into Auckland, and then I spent the day wandering around Auckland, and then we had 3 sea days back to Sydney. And so I had no work, because that was one of the contracts where, depending what ships you're on, they all do it differently, but that was, you perform 2 45-minute shows, but they're one after the other on the same night. So you do an early show and a late show in the theatre on the same night.
Then
and
you're done.
The rest of the time, you're just wandering around, which sounds amazing.
If you've got company.
Yes. Well, this is the thing. But you do try and find, like, I had to really consciously make myself go, no. When you get home and you tell all the other parents at the kids' T-ball on Saturday what you spent your week doing, they're all going to think you've got the best life in the world. You need to just make the most of this. So I hit golf balls.
Nice. Shuffleboard, quoits,
at
bingo.
One stage, and this is the first time when I had little kids too. See, I hadn't been bored in years, but I got to the point where I'm like, if I do enough laps of the promenade deck, get the K's up, I reckon I can have an afternoon nap, and that'll kill some time.
Oh my God.
It was pretty but it's just adjusting to that sort of stuff. And if you can't find ways to deal with it, I could see how, if you're not a person who can adjust to that, then life can become pretty depressing.
Oh yeah, especially if, like you say, you're just sitting there thinking all day before you go and do a gig.
Yeah.
Then this is a nightmare.
Well, I don't know about you two, but I get that thing where if I spend too much time with the audience, I'd start to get in my own head about them. I'm like, this bloke.
Like making judgments on what they will and won't like.
Yeah. I look at them and go,
wrong too.
Yeah, no, people are just people. We all sit there and go, oh man, what's this crowd going to be like? Oh man, look, where are we? These guys, we're going to have to. And then you get out there and they're all almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, I learnt that, like, doing some of the, like, the footy club gigs, like those sports lunches and stuff. I remember I had the realization I'd done a couple of league ones, and then, like, a week after I did rugby union one. And I was like, oh man, you're just the same blokes. You're just going to different jobs at the end. Like, you've taken the afternoon off different jobs. Like, the league guys were mostly tradies, and then I'm over in the lower North Shore, and they're all professional types.
Yeah, like, one group had to get their suits dry cleaned, the others had one ready to go. That's about the only difference.
And it was even down to the sculling of the beers and stuff, all the same. Like it's fascinating how, even as different as people are, you realise, no one's that different. So you how did you get into the TV writing game?
I don't know. This is a question I get asked a fair bit. I know I got offered a chance to join Tonightly when that was on. So that was my first ever gig. And I think that came up because I'd done a live storytelling event, and someone there saw me, recommended me, and I got into that way. But then after that, I didn't work in TV for a couple of years. And then I got an email out of the blue to send in a packet for a new show, and that show led to another show and to another show, and then it kind of all snowballed from there. But it's one of those frustrating things. People go, oh, how do you get into it? I'm like, I don't know, one day you'll get an email out of the blue. Which is very frustrating answer. Check your emails. Make sure you're always checking your junk mail.
So you got an email out of the blue.
Yeah, and you don't know, and I should have asked. I always keep meaning to go, how did people
So what was that show?
That was for Win the Week was the next one I worked on, which was a news game show that was on the ABC for a while, and then I've worked on Gruen and The Weekly since as well, and Question Everything, which is also the end of the year this year.
So that reeks to me of someone who's familiar with your work, maybe, I don't know, crossover with Tonightly or whatever, who's seen you around, likes your stuff.
I think so.
Because I think that is one of the things that is sort of in some ways underappreciated, is how, like, when they're staffing a show, or getting, even just booking gigs, like who's good, who's round, who's easy to work with, those are the first few questions. Like, and it's, if you're around, like if you're in someone's mind as this person's good and they're nice to be around, that being easy to work with is also a massive deal
too. And it's just also having had a career and strong work ethic. I think that has done a lot as well, because it's not necessarily like we want someone reliable. So all those little job skills that you get are really valuable in this as well. It's not just stand up.
Yeah, well, that's the creativity. The creativity is one side of it, but then, like, in the end, like, if you're putting a TV show to air, that's work. So you need to be able to apply that creativity in a time frame with, like, you need to be able to hit the deadlines, basically. And if you don't have that work ethic and that just ability to dig in
and not freak out, make sure that you can deliver something. So I think that all of this, as much as you go, oh, wow, I wish I'd started earlier, but I don't know that I would have been as good in my 20s, whereas now I'm a bit more consistent and I know how to make my brain work in the way I need it to. That's
really that's a nice way of looking at it. Also, you have the advantage of seeming like you're 26.
Yeah, that works for me very well too.
But you're 100% right. I think you don't have the appreciation when you're younger about how long a career is. And I think, so you think you want it all then there. It's all gonna, you have to race to get to where you want to be to. Where I think your 20s is probably a really good time to be maybe just following your nose is what's interesting you, and then finding what you're going to apply yourself to a little bit later. Yeah. Sometimes is maybe, I don't know, for me that's certainly beneficial. I didn't start stand up until I was 28, which I thought at the time was way late, which it isn't, but I did have a kid at that stage. So
that's
I was
amazing.
Married and already had a kid before I started stand up. So
wow.
I felt older than all the other 28-year-olds.
And you've got something to talk about.
Well, that was the thing. Like I had a pretty just middle class good upbringing. I wouldn't have had anything to say early on.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I'm so close with my family and had such a great childhood, and you go, this is brilliant. Not brilliant for the arts, but brilliant for me.
You know what? I think it pays off in the more long-term thing.
Yeah.
Rather than, you're not as self-destructive,
yeah,
maybe.
Exactly.
I don't know. But yeah, I think it's definitely definitely. For me, it was it was just a case of waiting to get a bit of life experience so that I had something to talk about and a bit of perspective. But that's a pretty privileged position to be in, I suppose. Like, if that's your biggest whinge, is that,
totally.
Man, I had to go get life experience rather than have trauma.
I had to wait for it to come to me.
Yeah. Yeah, not a bad way to be. So what okay, before we get to the end now, because we are getting to time, what is the, 5 years time, you're too big to come on this podcast.
Never.
What do you do? Like, I know this is a silly probably question to ask, because it's always, but what would your dream gig be? Like, what are we doing? Are we doing stand up? Have you got a TV show? Are you writing? You're producing? What are you doing, or don't you know?
It's a hard question to answer because I don't really know. But what I do know is that I want to be performing. I love writing, and I definitely would love to. I've got my ideas for TV shows that I'd love to one day write, but there's something about live performance and live stand-up for me that has hooked me in a way that I underestimated. I never expected I'd be able to do this. I'm shy. I never enjoyed being on stage, the process of getting myself on stage, but now that I'm doing it, it's addictive and I love it. So I can't see myself ever giving that part of it away, but I would love to do more writing stuff as well. So I guess a combination of both. But I think a lot of people see stand-up as a vehicle to do something else, whereas for me, stand-up is more than just the vehicle to do something else. It's what I want to do. I'm 100% like you. My thing is I want to do the other things. I love doing the other things. I do a bit of radio and TV and all that sort of stuff. But the ultimate goal, and I remember Akmal said to me years ago, he goes, Andrew, I just want to do enough TV and radio that I can sell stand-up tickets. I'm like, and I had no idea at the time because I hadn't done TV or radio. I'm like, no, but they seem amazing. And you're like, no, this is actually this is what those, for me, that's what those can feed. If I can make this my main thing, because this is my wife will kick me out of the house. She'll tell me, go do a gig, you're happier. Yeah. If I haven't done a gig in a while and I'm getting you can
grumpy
get
around the house,
just
go do an open mic or something. I don't know. So
get out of my hair.
No, I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, I love it. And I've loved, I really enjoyed doing TV. I've only done a tiny little bit, but I really enjoyed that too. That was the closest thing I've done to live stand-up, because you've got a live audience there when you're doing TV too. And I've really enjoyed that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, I've definitely been pigeonholed as a writer, I think, in a lot of ways. And I love it. I really love it. But I couldn't see myself giving up live performance.
I am so happy to hear that. So if someone wants to find out where they can come and see you do live comedy, where's the best place to follow you?
Good luck to them. I need to get better at this. Instagram at Beck Melrose.
Where's the marketing degree? Come on.
Oh, I left that job and I really have not applied it to my own career, which would be very helpful. Instagram's probably the best place for me. I've also got a newsletter now. I don't know how you find that. Maybe go to my Instagram and I will post about my newsletter at some point.
Yeah, put a link tree in your...
Oh, yeah, good idea.
Thing, and people can go to that and then subscribe to your newsletter.
Great.
Newsletter, that's excellent. That's what people aren't doing.
I can't do social media. I can't do video content. I thought I'll write. That's what I do. I'll write a newsletter.
Right, I want to see a newsletter post titled "Flock of Sheep" coming up soon. And everyone who is listening to this or watch it, go read it. So at Beck Melrose on Instagram.
That's it.
Excellent. If you get a chance, go see Beck. She's very funny. Thank you very much for doing this, Beck.
Thank you.